Don't set religious, don't ask to chat, and don't ask for bitches. Back, I'm tripping.
Start and end, arise and fall, no system eternal and no one immortal. Creation all, but death is destruction. We cannot change the fate of civilization.
Alrighty, so I wanted to make a video that is going to be something a little bit different for me because I never really had a discussion about death battle predictions. I never really did that in depth on this channel. Of course, I did collaborative discussions on death battles, but I never really took it to a solo format. So we have the two contenders here, Batman and Black Panther, and if you guys aren't well aware, Batman is a prolific icon in the DC Comics landscape. You can't go anywhere without seeing Batman referenced, put into some sort of source material, crossing over with people. Batman is all over the place. He has various movies, popular video games like the Batman Arkham franchise. Batman is highly relatable to people because he is essentially a tormented human. He is someone that has experienced great pain in his childhood due to the fact that his parents were shot on that one unfortunate night. So Batman is now taking matters into his own hands, enacting vengeance and protecting the innocence of Gotham City. I enjoy Batman pretty much. I do think he can be overrated. There's probably some Joe Smo out there that thinks Batman can beat everyone on the comic book landscape, which is absolutely false. But I will say, the world of Batman and the situations that he goes through is kind of relatable, so that makes him an interesting character to the reader, and that's how I felt about the Batman mythos for the most part. But we're moving on to Black Panther. Black Panther is the first, one of the many, I wouldn't say the first actually, scratch that, but he's one of the many relatable African-American superheroes, one of the rare ones. I think he also preceded people like Jon Stewart and Luke Cage. He comes from the fictional country of Wakanda. The coolest thing about the notion of Black Panther and Wakanda in general is there's always someone who wants to take the throne from the inside, and there's always sources who wants to invade Wakanda from the outside. I am literally telling you, it's one of the most valuable places on Earth in the Marvel universe. They have it all. They have the most technologically advanced city to date. They have vibranium mines there, so that makes it really popular to people like poachers and ivory hunters who really want a piece of what Wakanda has to offer. But unfortunately for a lot of outsiders looking in, they have to deal with the Black Panther, which is a protector of all the things relating to Wakanda. So anyone who tries to step foot in their doorstep, they are pretty much greeted by an entire nation of angry motherfuckers who doesn't want any of their resources touched or bothered or even hampered with at all. And I think that Black Panther having a resurgence coming into the Marvel Cinematic Universe really cements several different things, like more black superheroes getting their own solo movies. It's been a while since we saw stuff like Blade back in the past that established that you can have a R-rated dark superhero movie centered around vampires starring a black protagonist. So Black Panther is probably going to have a resurgence there to many people, you know, getting into this role and doing diversity and things of that nature. Diversity done right, that's what I want to see. Strong superheroes, none of this tacked on crap that's put into a lot of comics today. But I digress. Let's begin with the notion of why these two people were pitted against each other. What is the reason behind having Black Panther and Batman in a death battle in the first place? Well, similarities due to being rich, obviously. They're both wealthy people. Batman is a multi-millionaire. He is the owner of a corporation. On the other hand, Black Panther is the owner of one of the most profitable nations in the Marvel universe. So I think maybe the death battle people were being funny and they thought, hey, two rich people fighting, but we're obviously going to pit up their attributes against each other. And I think that's going to be the interesting part, because as much as they have in common with being wealthy, as well as the two dressing up like particular animals like a bat and a panther, the similarities pretty much end there. Black Panther is a cold but idealistic person. He looks out for his people, whereas Batman prefers to work alone. He's menacing, he's calculating, but he also has a history that bothers him a lot more than need be. I guess now we're going to factor in strengths and weaknesses, attributes, what makes these heroes unique, what makes them stronger over the other, what makes them weak. Obviously, I'll start off with Black Panther first because I feel that's the easiest one. The first one is the vibranium suit. Now, if you read the comics, you would know this suit can withstand a lot of punishment. We're talking about knives, sticks, gunshots. You saw a little bit of it when the fighter jet was shooting at Black Panther, shooting at T'Challa, and it had no effect because that's how strong vibranium is. Captain America's shield is made of vibranium, and if you aren't well aware, that thing is pretty damn strong and could take a lot of punishment. It wasn't until Thanos broke that thing in half and shocked the readers in the Infinity War arc. And just to put it in perspective, you needed an otherworldly figure like Thanos, someone super strong, to break the vibranium shield compared to adamantium scratching against it, other freaking forms of vibranium scratching against Cap's shield, and of course conventional firearms are useless against it. From what I can gather, Black Panther is a warrior to be reckoned with. He not only had access to the heart-shaped herb, which is a famed herb only for the mightiest of warriors from Wakanda. Once this is consumed, it gives the users superhuman strength, agility, and an ability to have heightened senses. So that means that Black Panther is able to smell a man from 30 or 40 yards out depending on the situation. Even though that is readily disgusting, that works best when it comes to people who are trying to sneak up on Black Panther and he can catch their scent ahead of time. It also goes without saying that Black Panther also has increased sight, so he has a higher depth perception than he normally would after consuming the heart-shaped herb. Black Panther has also bested well-trained, well-recognized superheroes who are pretty masterclass with their abilities as well. He once overpowered Wolverine. I think he overpowered him actually twice. And he also bested Captain America. He also managed to hold his own pretty well against Bucky Barnes in Captain America Civil War. Captain America and Bucky Barnes are two genetically enhanced super soldiers, and Wolverine is a mutant with fucking protruding metal claws. So that pretty much tells you on a basic level, these guys aren't any pushovers either. So we take all that into account, he's able to draw the knowledge and strength and experience from every single and previous Black Panther in the lineage of who was Black Panther in the past via the Panther God. The Panther God has access to everyone's mindset when it comes to what they did as the Black Panther and their stated experience. He also has a healing factor, but is not as robust as someone like Wolverine or Deadpool. So we have that into the equation. Now we're going to get into his weakness. His weakness is pretty much that he is a standard human, and Black Panther outside of the suit is still prone to physical attacks and physical injury. I did want to bring up the fact that Black Panther does have a characteristic flaw, and that's the fact that he tends to get cocky. He tends to get overconfident when it comes to either battling his enemies, making sure that he ensures to win the fight even though the fight is not over. This happened when he ripped out Mephisto's heart in Black Panther 1998. He claimed the battle was over, he claimed that Mephisto was dying, only to pull him into more insane illusions. And it happened in some battles in Civil War as well. I'm assuming how you are already estimating that yes, this character flaw could probably be used to Batman's advantage, but remember, there is a reason why Batman cannot put a dent in Chitala, and I'm going to explain that a little bit later. But I guess if you keep up with Black Panther lore, you already know why I just said that. Just setting the record straight, it might have something to do with vibranium suits, just a little bit of an illusion. However, I will talk about that later. Chitala is still a capable fighter nonetheless. Next, we have the attributes of Batman: the Gotham Knight, the Dark Knight, the Big Bad Bat, the Pitch Black Menace. Batman has a slew of abilities, but he's lacking in the superpower department. First and foremost, we're talking about the world's greatest detective. Batman is able to deduce complex situations and apply them to his own advantage when it comes to figuring out what's going on or overcoming a situation by using his brain. Next up, Batman was trained by the League of Shadows, an organization. Obviously Ra's al Ghul is behind it, but they trained him in the art of ninjutsu preparation, honing his mind, honing his skills to ultimately become the Bat. Now, this means that he is prepared in ninjutsu. This also means that he has stuff in his craft like smoke bombs and batarangs to defuse his opponents at any given point in time. He also has high-tech gadgets. So if you see Batman boosting from building to building with the high-tech grapnel gun, or if you see an AI-controlled Batmobile blowing the shit out of people with rubber bullets, then you might want to give Lucius Fox a consolation prize. Good job, buddy. Now stop. Hold the presses. I know what you must be thinking. Ren, Batman has a pretty decent laundry list when it comes to his credentials. Obviously, he is a badass modern ninja, but it doesn't stop there. Oh no, you ain't leaving, because Batman has defeated Superman in some occasions. He has defeated the son of Krypton in some multiverse stories. Even though people try to put Batman and Superman at odds because I think their ideals are so different, people must realize that every time these multiverse stories come out and Batman tends to win, it's always prep time, bro. Like, Batman has like a week of prep time. He somehow managed to pull a kryptonite shard out his ass. I don't know how, but he just has it. He always has friends to back him up. I mean, that final fight in The Dark Knight Returns was ridiculous. I mean, every single person, every single unit, they really had to dogpile and plan ahead in Crime Alley to give Batman that advantage. I think the point that I'm trying to home in on, and the one that is the most important, is that Batman is essentially the underdog in DC Comics. He's the guy who really has a lot of logical thinking patterns to overcome enemies, but he is the most powerless against them. He can die, he can get hurt, he can get shot. So him dealing with a crowd full of enemies like there was in Batman v Superman, him dealing with insurmountable odds like going against the Man of Steel, that is still pretty impressive on his record. Him dealing with his rogues gallery like Bane, who is infused with venom and he gets bulkier at each turn and he can punch through a goddamn wall, that cannot go undermined. Him dealing with the Joker, who is a intense psychological villain for Batman, a guy who just wants chaos and he wants death and destruction, and Batman has to stop this guy. It's in his nature, it's in his blood. It's the combination of wits and combat that makes Batman so unique. He talked his way out of a situation of being killed by Darkseid. He also has a failsafe in mind just in case Superman goes crazy in the Justice League, and if it boils down to evil Superman, he has that prep time of kryptonite. He always has these moving, thinking pieces in play. This man mastered 127 styles of martial arts. Let me reiterate this, 127. He knows pressure points, immediate ways how to break a man. If you want to see Batman in the best action, I might recommend the scene from Batman v Superman, even though that movie was not that great. That warehouse scene is just pure Batman brutality, and I recommend giving that a look just in case you haven't. I would say the only two things that Batman has going against him is the fact that he has no powers. He doesn't have any super strength, heat beam. He's a normal guy. He can also die, get shot, and age like a normal guy. Let's get into the final section here, and that is who is going to win, T'Challa or Batman? I think logically, Black Panther should take it home. His attributes far exceeds Batman in terms of having abilities, having superhuman senses. He has an edge because Batman has no powers. Now, we might talk about the multiverse stuff where, yes, Batman did defeat Superman. However, in this case, I don't think that Batman will be given that much prep time. I don't think that he'll be given anything that carves through the vibranium armor that Black Panther has. So that's a wash, right? Batman has no prep time. He has no powers. He should not be able to beat a superhuman giant cat suit wearing motherfucker who can call upon his ancestors, who can call upon the ancestors of the Panther God to summon their abilities, strengths, and techniques. I think no amount of prep time is going to stop T'Challa from winning this match. I think it's going to be a squash. And obviously, Batman has lost to superpowered contenders in Death Battle in the past. He lost to Spider-Man, so that counts for something. Batman has something going against him. Now, granted, I think if, hypothetically speaking here, I think if it was just T'Challa without the Black Panther suit, and if it was just Batman on a one-on-one knockout, drag-out fight, then I think it would be a little bit more equal because both men can get physically harmed. So I think maybe throw away the suits, it might be a little bit more fair. However, T'Challa still is imbued with the essence of the heart-shaped herb, so he still has his superpowered abilities no matter what. Not saying that Batman is a slouch because he is a master martial artist. He can fight, he can throw down. However, when it comes to someone like Black Panther, I think he is just a bit outmatched in that regard. And of course, if Batman wins by any stretch of the imagination, then that means that Death Battle is particularly biased, which I hope they aren't because they allowed Batman to lose against Spider-Man, but at the end of the day, that definitely means that they love this overrated guy and he won for that mere fact alone. Just throwing that out there just in case Batman gets the edge. I like Batman, but still, just put that into your heads just in case he gets the upset. If you want my estimation, I think a more proper battle probably would have been Batman versus Tony Stark, because I honestly think that could go either way, because Tony outside of the suit, he sucks. His hand-to-hand is not as good as Batman, and I think that would have brought up a lot more fair comparisons, a lot more weaknesses and strengths in some areas to Bruce and Tony altogether. Anyway, this is me logging off. This was my predictions, rambling, off-the-cuff discussion about who I think will win during the Black Panther Batman Death Battle. My odds are definitely on Black Panther, just due to the evidence alone, everything that we have here, and what's been set on record when it comes to the background attributes of Black Panther, their weaknesses, their strengths, the stuff that's on Batman, etc. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I will see you guys next time. Later.